2024 will be an important political milestone for the European Union. The European elections from June 6th to 9th are one of the largest democratic events on the planet, and the only multinational election in the world. Every 5 years, hundreds of millions of people across Europe vote to elect their representatives to the European Parliament, the EU's only directly elected institution. In the current 2019 to 2024 mandate, there are 705 members of the European Parliament who guarantee that decisions that affect all citizens are made democratically. June will put Europe's democracy at center stage. It's a unique moment when more than 400 million Europeans will be able to collectively decide on the future of the European Union. Does the power of your vote really matter? It's easy to forget how many people are affected by the outcome of the European elections. The European Parliament passes laws that affect everyone. Big countries and small communities, powerful companies and young startups, globally and locally. EU legislation addresses most people's priorities: the environment, security, migration, social policies, consumer rights, the economy, the rule of law, and much more. Today, all important national issues also have a European dimension. Your vote will decide which members of the European Parliament will represent you in making new laws and influence the election of the European Commission. These decisions will be present in your daily life and that of many other people. Therefore, it's important to make a conscious choice of which politicians to vote for in the upcoming elections. We don't want a repeat of scandals such as the Qatargate case, where alleged bribes to senior figures in the European Parliament were investigated by countries such as Qatar and Morocco, which broke out in December 2022. So in this video, we'll begin by analyzing through the Director of the European Parliament, Jean-Méduc, the importance of your vote for the upcoming elections of the European Union. And secondly, the scandals that have been experienced in recent years. So, let's get started. Months before European elections, in which the survival not only of the European Union, but of Europe as such is at stake, the European Parliament's communications team, with its director, Jean-Méduc at the helm, is outlining its strategy to give that push. Let everyone know that their vote is very important. The focus is on everyone, but especially on how to reach young people, especially taking into account that in the next elections there will be 5 countries, Germany, Austria, Malta, Greece, and Belgium, in which it will be possible to vote in the European elections from the age of 16. The challenge is to reach the majority of citizens of the European Union so that they know not only that there are elections, but also the importance of voting. Because democracy is fragile, and organized disinformation campaigns have been seen in all elections, and it can be imagined that this will also happen in the European elections. The survival is at stake, not only of the European Union, but of Europe as such, not in 5 years, perhaps 10, 15, or 20. But we're seeing that in recent years, the world has become more complicated. We're seeing that Europe is becoming smaller, not only geographically, but in its geopolitical concept, warns Duke. The reality, therefore, should open our eyes to the fact that if we do not do things united together or going in agreement, we'll not be able to maintain not only our standard of living, but our model of living, our model of society, which is a much more advanced model, much more just, and much more inclusive than any other model in the world, he adds. In recent years, the European Union could have suffered greatly from the different crises, especially if it had not responded to what people were asking for. In the obvious case of the pandemic, and now also with the war, or in the Brexit negotiations, which was a very complicated and dangerous issue. But it has demonstrated resilience, or, in any case, resistance. Thus, the European Union shows that it knows how to adapt, that it knows how to go beyond its own competencies, as was the case with the vaccination campaign against COVID-19, or with the implementation of the Next Generation Recovery Program. On the other hand, democracy has shown signs of fragility, because in recent years, the number of countries that can be considered democratic has been decreasing, and therefore this would represent a danger, because at some point, it could also affect the European Union itself. Starting from the premise that the same reasons that apply to voting in national, regional, or municipal elections apply to European elections, Duke and his team design a communication strategy to try to reach the majority of citizens and let them know not only that there are elections, but the importance of voting. They will report, on the one hand, on what the European Parliament is doing, what it has been doing during the current legislature, and what are the challenges or issues that remain on the table for the next one. And on the other hand, they'll try to motivate, give that push or additional information to citizens that helps them understand that their vote is very important and that there are no excuses for not going to the polls. And especially to young people, Duke tells them that the European elections lay the foundations for what will come next and encourages them to flee from abstentionism and take root in what he calls democratic DNA. Reaching them is more complicated than others, as they consume information and communication differently, mainly on networks such as TikTok. We have to open the parliament to all types of media and increasingly to all types of people who have influence in the networks. All this despite the scandals and the different problems that the European Union has gone through. If you're enjoying the video so far, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and like it. We appreciate it. The more than 400 million voters of the 27-member nations are called to renew parliament in an appointment marked by the Qatargate bribery scandal. The European elections will be held between June 6th and June 9th of this year. The 5-yearly meeting, the largest transnational election in the world, will serve to decide who occupies the 705 seats in the European Parliament, a process that will in turn begin the renewal of those responsible for the main European institutions, including the Commission, the executive arm of the 27. The President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, immediately encouraged the more than 400 million Europeans entitled to vote to take part in the biggest democratic exercise in Europe and to go to the polls in the upcoming months to elect their representatives in Brussels and Strasbourg until 2029. Democracy in the EU is more important today than ever. Your vote matters. It will decide the direction the EU will take and what kind of Europe you will see. The Maltese stressed in a message on social networks. The European Parliament wants to repeat the success of the last electoral event, in 2019, when participation increased significantly and exceeded the 50% average in the EU. Spain, with 60.7%, was among the countries with the highest turnout at the polls for the European event. Political groups have been mobilizing for some time now in the run-up to this crucial meeting. In the quest to maintain its status as a majority party, the European People's Party, or EPP, has been singled out in recent times for flirting with the extreme right in various countries. Currently, two of the leading European figures, Metsola and the President of the European Commission, Germany's Ursula von der Leyen, belong to the EPP. The European conservative formation is led by another German, Manfred Weber, who is considered to be very distant from the head of the Community Executive. Weber was a candidate for the post, although a political agreement of the states ended up opting for von der Leyen, who was also Angela Merkel's defense minister between 2013 and 2019. In addition to the potential approaches to political extremes, next year's European elections will be marked by Qatargate, the scandal of alleged bribery to senior figures in the European Parliament by countries such as Qatar and Morocco that broke out in December 2022. The case for which several high-level politicians in Brussels are accused, including a former vice president of the organization. The Greek, Eva Kaili, has shaken European bodies by revealing profound deficiencies in terms of transparency and surveillance of the institutions and their functioning that Brussels has committed to remedy. However, the early impetus to undertake reforms seems to have lost steam. Originally, Metsola had proposed that the European elections, the first without the United Kingdom after Brexit, be between May 23rd and 26th, as in 2019. These elections always occur between a Thursday and a Sunday, so each state can choose the most convenient day. In the Netherlands, it's usually Thursday, although most countries call it on Sunday, because on those dates there are multiple holidays in several European countries in 2024. There was no consensus, and the dates ranging from June 6th through 9th were chosen. The first European elections, those of 1979, were held between Thursday, June 7th and Sunday, June 10th. This decision was rejected by Portugal because its national holiday is on Monday the 10th, so Lisbon fears that calling elections in the middle of the weekend would cause lower participation. But according to diplomatic sources, Lisbon has finally chosen not to oppose a decision that must be taken unanimously by the representatives of the 27. With all this, we analyze how the different political figures have been encouraging everyone to go out and exercise their right to vote in a conscious way about their future, also seeking to avoid future scandals and keeping them to a minimum. Thus, the video reflected the importance of the power of your vote for the upcoming elections in the European Union. Now I ask you, who are watching this video, are you going to participate in the next European Union elections? Yes or no? Let me know your answer in the comment box. And if you like this video, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and leave a like for more videos. With that, we'll see you next time.